Welcome into the Gramlich and Mac Lane podcast, presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and Mac Lane, the official supermarket of Halloween, as we are getting closer, Mac. And you and I just decided, this is going to be a week 9 recap, by the way, but you and I just decided that we're going to do a special Gramlich and Mac Lane Halloween costume for Friday's episode. So you guys,
we're gonna have a special guest. Don't give them a hint. We're gonna have two special guests.
Oh, 2 special guests.
Friday.
That's a better
Yeah.
way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Can't wait. And we will have our candy. I actually loaded up on candy today at Ingles. I was like, you know what?
Smart.
I was doing some shopping on Sunday and I thought, let me just get my candy.
Yeah.
And, I tend to I'm going to get some of the candy that I want to take a nibble of, obviously. So I get like, a 150 pack. That's a good deal, right? That I'm
Right.
going to give out to the kids. And then I thought, let me get this little pack of Sour Patch that I
There
can
you
just
go.
sprinkle those in there. So
This is always a great time to remind people of your sickness that you have and that
Correct.
you are a big Twizzler girl. Like, did you get
I
Twizzlers for
stand by
everybody?
it. I stand by it. Yeah, there are Twizzlers in one of the variety packs. Also at Boo in the Zoo, my son got some Twizzlers and he learned that he pays the
Stole 'em.
tax. He gives those to me. He probably doesn't even want them, but it's maybe a genetic condition where he
Yeah,
likes
could
Twizzlers.
be
I don't know.
pass along through the
To be
mouth.
determined.
It's pretty unfortunate for him. I hope he doesn't have that. But this is the good thing for me. So, Kaki will be going to Clemson this weekend, and then she can go to Ingles and get it the day after. Like we said, it's the best way. So you already save a bunch of money, then you save a bunch more money. So I'm really looking forward for her doing that and capitalizing big time.
Mac, you guys are playing chess. The rest of the world is playing checkers. That is just genius. But as we said, stay tuned for a Halloween surprise coming up on Friday. But Mac, let's get you a message from Ingles, and then we will dive into a spooky, maybe ended up being not so spooky weekend in the ACC.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have energy smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Okay, Mac, let's dive into these games that we had this weekend. And I'm going to go in the correct order this time. I'm going to go down the line of teams in the last AP poll and where they were ranked, and we'll go correctly here. Let's start with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Number 7, Georgia Tech beat Syracuse 41-16. Really what we expected. We talked about Georgia Tech needing to get off to a quicker start. They didn't necessarily do that. They had that early fumble, but in the end, they were fine. They wore this team down as they always do. And Haynes King was unreal, Mac. I got to read his stat line, okay? 25 of 31 for 304, 3 touchdowns, 12 carries for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. 5 total touchdowns. We can get more into the nitty-gritty of this game, but I think the main point here is Haynes King, and you and I have been saying this, Haynes King needs to be fully, securely in the Heisman discussion. This team is 8-0. They're one of the best teams in the country. And is there a quarterback that means more to his team than Haynes King?
No, there's not. Scream it from the frickin' rooftops, KG. And I think the thing that I really wanted to see was just him throwing the football. I wanted to see him throw the football more, and he's been very effective. I mean, for the season, he's above 70%, throwing the ball. Just wanted to see him going downfield. Wanted to see more frequency, of that. And 25 of 31, sign me up. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Honestly, should have had, I think, 5 touchdowns. I think he had 2 dropped passing touchdowns to his tight end. So that tight end had 2. He would have had 4, which is crazy. So really, Haynes should have had, well over 300 yards and 5 tutties through the air, which is nuts. Just how well, this guy's playing. And then for him to add on another 90-plus yards on the ground, another 2 touchdowns on the ground, I think he's the nation's leading rusher for sure at quarterback. Maybe he's close to tied in regards to scoring touchdowns on the ground there. He's playing out of his mind. Like this dude, it's so funny to me that the people, some folks, some prominent folks on ESPN released their like Heisman, whatever. I don't know if it's power polls. I don't know if it's a conglomeration. I don't know. Power polls, you can move a little bit more fluid.
It's SEC only. That's
It
probably
is
what it is, Mac.
right,
It's by
and
default.
the moral of the story is they had Diego Pavia, who just threw for 100 yards and a pick and had a terrible game, over Haynes King. They had him number 1, had Haynes, like, number 3 or 4, and I'm just like, "Did you
What
watch
are we
football this
doing?
weekend, or was that optional?" Was that just you're just
God.
gonna throw this out there and see who really likes it? So, I'm with it 100%. I think he's playing so well. I don't think there's a player that means more to their team. Like, you take Haynes King away, and it's
Right.
crazy. I mean, that this team is just totally different. And not to say that Aaron Philo is not a great player, and I think will be next year, but this guy just means everything. He's the rudder that steers the ship. Like, he gets them going, and it's really, really fun to watch. And I'm with you with the slower start, but being up 23-3 in the first half
Yeah.
and then continuing that in the second half. I liked what I saw. I mean, I thought it was dominant. I thought they finally finished a game, feeling
Mm.
really good about themselves and where they are. And, just overall production. I mean, got a lot of guys involved, got a bunch of receivers involved, got the running backs involved. Of course, they were without, Malik, one of their
Mhm.
best receivers, and still threw the ball as effectively as they did. Liked what I saw from Hosley. A little interested in Jamal Haynes. Is he a little banged up?
I was
What's kind
gonna
of
bring
going
that
on
up.
there? Interested to kind of see what's going on there. But, yet again, the defense I thought played, pretty well. I thought that they were able to get some tackles for loss, get in the backfield, had a couple of sacks and just guys flying around. I mean, this team is, I think, getting better. And obviously peaking at the right time. And you look at the rest of the way here. You look at this schedule at Boston, or excuse me, at NC State, then at Boston College versus Pitt, which this is a huge
Yeah.
game. Like, this Pitt game, which is at home, is steadily climbing very quickly. And then, of course, versus the Dogs in the Dome there in Atlanta. Uh, Man, what an opportunity for a fantastic finish for these guys.
That Pitt game, like you said, is getting really interesting. Pitt finally received a vote in the AP poll, literally one vote. So I'm not sure they're going to be ranked anytime soon, but maybe. Georgia Tech dropped to 8 after winning 41-16.
Yeah,
I think
shock.
a lot of that was Ole Miss's win. They jumped up to 7, which, that was an impressive win. Miami's at 10. I did want to bring this up because with Georgia Tech overall, yeah, I'm being nitpicky talking about the slow start. I wouldn't really say it was slow, just that fumble early, but they're fine. It was interesting. My husband brought this up. He's like, do you feel like these regular season games matter less because you can technically lose and you're still very much in the discussion for the playoff because it's 12 teams, like a Notre Dame, for example. And I thought, yeah, there's part of that. But what's fun from a Georgia Tech perspective, Georgia Tech's 8-0. They're number 8 in the AP poll. And we're not stressed out about it, right? Like, imagine if this was just a 14 playoff.
Oh, yeah.
You and I would have to spend every single episode saying, this is stupid.
Right.
And it's what happened with Florida State, right? When an undefeated team being left out. And Georgia Tech can only play who's on their schedule. They can't control that Clemson is down and these other ACC schools that they happen to have scheduled are down.
Right.
They're just handling their business. So it is kind of nice, and I'm sure Georgia Tech fans agree, that we're in this 12-team playoff world, even though some people, maybe 8 would be better or whatever, that as long as Georgia Tech continues to win, and of course winning the league, you control your destiny there, but it's more fun, Mac. We don't have to sit here and say, they deserve to be in. Like, it's okay that they're at number 8. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it is an interesting question. I think there's a bunch of different, kind of viewpoints, vantage points you can look at it from. But for me is just, I mean, at the end of the day, we're consumers, right? We love this. We love this sport. We love this game. Love to follow it. I think it almost heightens it because there's just more availability. Like, it
Sure.
just all matters. And so I do understand the point of, when I was playing, it felt like if you lose one, then it's over. Like, it's
Right.
just, it is what it is. But it's almost better in a sense now because you lose that one and you're not out. You
Mhm.
still have a way ahead. So you still need to win more and fight for that spot. So that's kind of where I go with it. And you think of some of these teams with 2 losses that they would just be like, nope, season's over. Have fun at the, whatever bowl. Whereas to now, no, man,
Right.
there's a lot of opportunity out there. So not a concern for Georgia Tech because they're undefeated and they're just going to keep rolling. I think this is just a fun team to watch. And like I said, I think they're getting better. Defense is going to continually be under the microscope like that. That's just going to be, the side of the ball that has to do its part. And, when they want it, run into a team that can score like they can, what does that look like?
Mhm.
I think this offense is showing it'll be fine. Like they'll do whatever they have to do.
And that will be probably Pitt, like we're saying, and Georgia. That's going to be a massive finish for Georgia Tech. I mentioned Georgia Tech up to number 8, Miami at 10, this AP poll that just came out today. Virginia stays above Louisville because Virginia beat Louisville. I think that's fair. Virginia's at 15. Louisville is at 16. So 4 top 16 teams in the ACC. And like I said, Pitt receiving that one vote. So who knows? Maybe something in store for Pitt. So let's get to Miami. Miami dropped a spot again with a win, just like Georgia Tech. But number 9, Miami beat Stanford 42-7. Okay, you ended up taking Miami to cover, right?
I did.
Yeah, you did, because I
Okay.
took Stanford to cover because I thought that's just way too many points. And at halftime, Mac, I was like, I'm a genius.
Got him.
Like, I just wanted everyone to know I am so smart. And
Yeah.
then obviously ends up being 42-7. They don't cover. Now, okay, tell me what you're thinking at halftime, Mac, at this
Yeah.
7-7 score.
Well, I will be honest. I was at the Louisville game, which we will
True,
talk
true.
about, and there is zero service in that stadium. None. I could not look at any scores, and they didn't put up scores anywhere. I was like, "This is a
Huh.
travesty. I need to know what's happening."
There are
So I
still
get
stadiums with 0 service
right. I guess that's the
in the
thing. I
year of
don't know.
our Lord
It just felt
2025?
like this one was way worse. Felt like this was way worse. I could
Weird.
not send a text. I could not open anything. And so I'm like thinking, this is wild. Like Miami's probably winning by 1,000. And so then I meander around and I finally get to a TV and I'm able to watch the second half while I'm watching Louisville play. And it was 7-7. And
You're
I'm like,
like,
you have got to be kidding me. I was like, there is no way that this is happening. And then I got, on Twitter, was able to connect to some Wi-Fi, and I'm scrolling through, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
yeah.
this is not happening right now. Stanford is not going to ruin the ACC's year. And then, of course, they turn it up. Malachi Tony with those 2 huge punt returns. Mark Fletcher, I mean, him in the second half, he was running that ball. Looked really, really
And the
good there.
O-line
And then
too.
Carson, just doing his thing. So I was impressed. The defense got a lot of turnovers. But yeah, halftime, once I finally figured it out, I was sounding the alarms. I was like, this sucks.
It felt like this was a real letdown spot for Miami, and it felt like they were still carrying over that Louisville loss, which was
Yes.
disappointing. Like, you wanted to see Miami come out and just look good. I thought, Mac, that Miami was just so conservative in
Right.
really the whole game offensively. Like, it was a lot of check
Yeah.
down Carson, check down Charlie. Like, that's what it felt like. He ended up being 21 of 28 for 189 yards and a touchdown. But when you go from a game where you have 4 picks,
Right.
I guess that's just naturally what you want to do, and you're going to be able to overpower Stanford at some point in the game, and that's what the running game did and the O-line did and the defense did in the second half. Do you feel like that was just a game plan thing, or are we getting gun shy with Carson Beck?
I think what's funny,
Why are you laughing?
just because of this, it's not a meme. It's somebody was tweeting. And I love Coach Dawson a ton. I think he's a great, very smart offensive coordinator. But someone tweeted, and it was this video of like a guy like shocked and surprised looking at something, and it said, Coach Dawson when he realizes there's another page of the call sheet. He's like, oh. There's more
That's
plays
what
I
it
can
felt
call.
like.
So when you were saying that, that's all I'm thinking about is a guy like, oh, wow, we have so many more
We
plays
were
that we
just on the check down page, Mac.
right.
We were
Oh,
just
shoot. I
on
forgot to flip the page over.
the dink and dunk page.
Yeah, right. The dink. We're stuck on the dink and dump. How do we get out of here? Yeah, I mean, yes, it felt that way. And I think, maybe Miami's felt that little way a lot this year just because they don't need to push the ball downfield.
Sure.
Like, because you can lean on that offensive line. You can lean on these guys to, make plays after the catch. But yeah, like I just want to see balance. And we're probably going to need to see that this week against SMU. We'll talk about that more
Right.
later. But, an SMU team that obviously can stop the run very well and get their hands on the football. Like we even in a loss, we saw them do that a ton. So we'll talk about that more. But yeah, it does feel like let's push the ball a little bit. Let's get it downfield. And maybe you needed that. Maybe you needed just to see completions. Those guys in camo, where are they? Oh, there they are. Maybe couldn't find them downfield. I don't know.
Don't
We
get me
joked about
started.
that too. So yeah, I think it's not a concern, but it is an observation. It is a big
Mhm.
observation from this game.
I think it may have been more game plan specific. You just want to get Carson's confidence back. You don't want him to throw a bunch of picks in a game that you don't need to push the ball downfield, but it did feel very conservative, especially in the first half. And Mac, I stand corrected. All right, I said I didn't like the jerseys and that they didn't look good. I'd like to clarify my statement. I think they were the ugliest jerseys of all time. I think those were the worst jerseys of all time.
Why?
They
They look good.
Mac, first of all, the green was hideous. It
No.
was worse in person. It was worse on TV and not in person, on TV.
Person. Hey, okay.
On TV than the picture. And then secondly, again, maybe that's why there was a conservative game plan, because Shannon Dawson knows my quarterback cannot see these players. They absolutely blended in with the field. Who made this decision, Mac? Those were the worst jerseys of all time.
I like it.
All
I thought they were
time.
unique. I'll say this though. I did see another funny meme where it was just like a bunch of floating heads, just the black
That's
helmets.
what it looked like.
Nobody could see anything.
Thank God you wore
So
black
funny.
helmets so it stood
Yeah.
out. If you were wearing green helmets,
Be
they wouldn't have
over.
scored at all.
Couldn't see anything. All right, so you're like, hey, Adidas, Miami, never bring these out again.
Absolutely not.
Are they worse than Florida's? Do you remember when Florida
Oh.
wore like the gator? That's the worst one ever. That
I
was
think
the
those
stupidest.
jerseys are cousins. They are related. And they are just both incredibly ugly. Like
Okay. Okay.
and
I hear you.
I am, as I've said before, if you missed our episode on Friday, which people actually kind of agreed with me, Mac, I am a fan of Miami's colors. I'm
Yeah,
a fan
I
of
am too.
Miami's look.
Yep.
Again, I understand Adidas maybe, catching some strays, but I'm a fan of their look.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I get it. You want to honor the military, and I completely support that. I love our military. But, oh my gosh, Mac. I just
get
wanted
it.
to correct my statement that those are the ugliest jerseys of all time.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you doubling down. I didn't think they were bad. I didn't think. And matter of fact, if you have any laying around, I'd take one. I'd put it up somewhere.
Here's the thing
Always
about Eric
steaming.
McLean. He is going to get himself some gear.
I'll find it.
It doesn't matter if it's ugly or not. He's going to find it. Mac, this is a great transition. Speaking of ugly, Virginia. Virginia survives against North Carolina, 17-16. Let me be honest. I'm sitting on my couch. I've got 3 games going. I'm watching Oklahoma Ole Miss. My dad and brother are big Oklahoma fans, by the way. And now my son likes to troll me saying he's an Oklahoma fan. And I'm like, no, Jacob, you're a Clemson fan.
You need to cut that out.
Then, unfortunately, I'm watching Georgia Tech, Syracuse, and I'm watching Virginia, North Carolina. And I feel like an absolute sicko watching Virginia, North Carolina, because it was just terrible. Like the red zone execution by each offense was some of the worst I think I've ever seen, Mac.
Yeah.
It was that bad.
It was gross. Just the only way to describe that game. And we kind of knew that. Like we were
you
very
more than me.
I just was like, I don't like it. I don't think this is good. I don't want any part of this. And I think North Carolina is going to do something weird. And they almost did. I mean, you're talking about an inch away from
Literally
almost doing it. Going for 2 there in the first overtime, which I support. I think that's a good call. And it was a good play call. You just got to extend the ball. You're going to have to do it the next time anyway. Might as well just do it now. It's not like, what are they playing for? They're 2-5. Like, who cares?
I get it. I mean, because of UNC and where they are, I just, as I've always said to you, Mac, I'm always a fan of extending the game.
Sure.
And giving yourself more chances. But you're UNC, you're 2-5, whatever.
I like it. It was aggressive. Why not do it? And it worked. You just,
well,
have
because
a
you
player with 1-inch arms instead of 2-inch arms. You got to figure out your personnel and you change everything there. This was a hideous game. And I got to tell you, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be negative.
Do it.
But I've got some red flags going up for Virginia. Like, I'm worried about them right now. Because these last 3 weeks, they have not played good football, not played complimentary football. And in one sense, they have, because they're finding ways to win, but it's almost like overcompensating football. It's not complimentary. It's like somebody somewhere has to step up at a given time instead of all just like, yeah, we got your back. You got our back. We got your back. You got our back type of football that way. And I don't know, like Chandler he didn't look sharp. Now he got hit a lot,
He was
but I
sacked
don't think
6 times.
he didn't look sharp before then. Then it kind of led to hits, and it was like back and forth in that game where I was just like, this is not good. And he got rocked pretty good one time,
Yeah.
going out of bounds there, I believe it was. It just wasn't great. Couldn't run the football. I mean, when you have 30 attempts for under 60 yards, I mean, it's not good, and against a really struggling team. I mean, you average 1 yard a rush. That's crazy to see that 1.7 there, average 5 yards a pass. I mean, that's not good, not good. And so I've got some little alarms. They're in the background. I've got little alarms going off. I've got little flags flying, for Virginia there. But with all of that said, they won the game. They found a way to win.
Right?
Defense stood up. They played great zone there. Let me tell you this too, if that was man to man and that play's called, North Carolina wins. Like there's going to
Mm,
be all kinds of traffic. They're not going to be able to get there, and that guy's going to walk in the end zone. But because it was zone, they were sitting there and they were able to react and get there really quickly. I also loved, I can't remember if it was a 2-point conversion or a
it was.
touchdown.
No, it
2-point?
was the touchdown in overtime.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that with the motions, bringing the
The
tackle and the tight
tackles.
end over, switching a tackle, and then subtly moving, into the wildcat there. I thought that was genius just because it's so much going on. Like, what are you looking at? You're looking at 100 different things. So I thought that was really genius, by them able to get it in there. On the North Carolina side, I thought it was Gio Lopez's best game, which isn't saying a lot. I mean, but
No.
it was, so maybe there's some progress there. I did think the North Carolina defense played very well, looked really, really good. So maybe there's something you can grow on. Who knows,
Mhm.
what the rest of the season can look like for those guys. But again, for Virginia, got to get it going. You have to figure it out. And I don't know what that takes, but you have to figure it out because you got a Cal team, ready for you and ready to get back in the win column.
I feel like the red flags for me are really red. Truly. Like, this is a Virginia team, I'm really worried. Now, I did tweet earlier today in my feelings that I used to complain about wins as well, especially doing local radio in Clemson,
Yeah.
South Carolina. Oh, man. I would, shout out to my former co-host, William Quackenbush. I would say, Quack, this was the ugliest win ever. What are we doing? And he would be grateful for the win. And I feel like I flipped now
Yeah.
because when your team just doesn't win anymore, you just need to be grateful for the wins. So watching Virginia win is exhausting. Okay. They just put you through it. But I do think they had some really unfortunate turnovers. They had a few instances in the red zone where they got stopped, that fourth down where they got stopped, that kind of would have put the game away a little bit. And then it goes to overtime. And so that, it feels like maybe this game could have felt better for them if it doesn't go to overtime. But I think the biggest concern, Mike, and you can speak to this more than me, is the offensive line. You're not getting a lot of push to run the ball. That's been an issue for the last couple of weeks since Florida State. And you gave up 6 sacks to one of the worst pass rushes in the country.
Yeah.
So that is concerning. And you could tell me more of like, it's a combination of Chandler Morris trying to do too much, trying to, make things happen, or just there are a few plays where he just got pancaked,
Yeah.
and then he gets hit, like you said, and then he's getting sped up. I thought we were excited about this O-line after Florida State. I'm not quite sure what happened.
Yeah. Which again, it's just, college football in general, you think you know something and then
Right.
like the
Right.
more you know, the worse off you are is kind of what it feels like sometimes because going into that Florida State game, they had like 3 dudes hurt on
Yes.
the O-line. And we're like, it's over. Florida State's about to bully these boys. And they look great. And they pushed them around. And then since then, exactly like you said, it's just been like a downward spiral, even though that was a bigger, probably more physical team than some of these others that they've really seen here. And so you're just confused and you don't know why. And I think it is a combination of poor O-line play and Chandler just either trying to do too much,
Yeah.
not just making the smart play, roll out, throw it away, dirt it, whatever, go to your check down instead of trying to extend it and, twisting and turning and running right into guys. I mean, there were some plays where I'm just like, brother, get rid of the ball,
Yeah.
throw
Yeah.
it away. Things of that nature. So, but he's a warrior too. Like I've said this before, he and Haynes King, very similar. He's going to do whatever he can for his team, trying to get first downs, lowering his shoulder,
Mhm.
to make it happen there. So again, KG, you sound like you're a little bit more concerned than I am. There's stuff going on. Maybe I just can't hear as good. I don't know. We'll see.
I am,
They've
but
got
I
a tough.
also
Let me tell you this too. We I remember 2 weeks ago, we're like, "Huh, look at this schedule. They're great." This
True.
schedule is getting tougher by the day. It's getting tougher by the day because at Cal is gonna be
Mhm.
a beast, and guess what?
Sure.
Your DBs these past couple weeks have not been good. Sangapolatelli is gonna find that. He's gonna exploit that. Wake Forest looks like the greatest team on earth right now. We'll talk about
The
them in 2
Dinks.
seconds. At Duke, gonna be tough, and then Virginia Tech's finding ways to win. So this schedule, after FSU, we're like, "Great, go ahead." Now we're kinda like, we'll see what happens."
After FSU, I was already talking playoff. I think it's because I love Virginia. I'm really
Yeah,
excited about this team. I like what the investment from the administration and the fan base and Charlottesville and everything, and Charlottesville's my favorite ACC town. I've said that many times. So I think I'm emotionally invested. That's the problem. So here we are. Okay, let's get to Louisville. Mac, you were there. Number 19, Louisville beats Boston College 38-24. This game was way closer than we thought. We both thought Louisville would cover. That did not happen. Louisville was only up 31-24 with 8 minutes to go, which is kind of crazy, but they found a way. They get the win. Biggest takeaway for me was Isaac Brown. He's
yeah.
back. Miami, he was great. This game, 14 carries for 205 and a touchdown. He was so explosive, Mac. Tell me overall, the huddle looked awesome. Like just the
Yeah.
vibes in Louisville. It looked like a really, really good atmosphere.
It really was, and, I have to give a huge shout out, to the students that showed up. It was the most students we've ever had, which that it's just
Awesome.
such a game changer, when you have that type of support, that type of environment, the whole dynamic of the show is just different, and it's more fun, and it's a better product, and it looks good on TV, and I think it represents the school well, but also, just the conference to show that we care. We care
Yeah.
about football, and even in a town, like Louisville, that is a basketball city, and trust me, they are. We went to the exhibition game, a practice game, and there wasn't a seat in the house, and it felt like a playoff. I mean, it felt like we were in the NCAA tournament, like how
That's
loud
crazy.
and crazy and tense that game was. Even that, they showed up, and it was great. And again, huge kudos to the athletic department and the athletic communications department for pushing it the way they did. And of course, the fans for showing up as well. So everybody involved, cannot thank you enough for our first time in Louisville. It was a major success. The Alley, I don't know if that's athletic owned or if that's independently owned, but for them letting us be there was such a great location, was so cool. So big time love from the huddle, to everybody involved with that, because it was awesome. It was a great environment. Had Coach come on, Coach Kelsey came on.
Mhm.
It was cool. It was really, really cool. So my first time in Louisville from that aspect was great and a ton of fun, to be able to do that. And then going to the game, I'll say this about Louisville, like it's a bigger city than you think. And maybe
Yeah.
that, like, I didn't know at all. I didn't know it was a big city at all. I'm just thinking these college towns and
Oh,
what
it
I
is.
expect.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
big city. I mean, it's a big old city. And so, it's a pro feeling city. Like
Correct.
just the way the stadiums are. The Yum Center is huge, like one of the best basketball arenas
Like
I've
an
ever
NBA
seen.
arena. Yeah.
It's an NBA arena. And then even the Cards stadium there, L&N. I mean, it's same thing, like just a pro vibe, like a good amount of people there, but not, your typical like ruckus, crazy for every second, loud when they need to be loud and kind of just watching when they're just watching. But it was good. And a lot of people showed up, a lot of people on the sidelines, staff members and other media people were like, wow, a lot of people are here. So that was cool, to be a part of that and to see. And then it was interesting. Boston College had a really good plan to kind of jump into the game here
Yeah.
where, they're kind of holding the ball and they're just taking time off the clock and, just moving downfield, converting on third down, converting on second and long, just extending drives. And, they eventually got stopped, kick a field goal. Louisville has the ball for 10 seconds, and here goes Isaac Brown, 70 yards down the sideline. And I'm just like, this dude is unreal. And that's what I wanted to see. That's what I thought we would see. Louisville rushed for 317 yards. That's check. That's exactly what I wanted, kind of from them, and way more explosive. I mean, they averaged 10.7 yards a freaking rush. That's crazy, crazy explosive. Really fun just to watch that. And Isaac Brown, I mean, he when healthy is the best running back in the country. I mean,
Mm.
it's insane how he can make people miss. The angles they think they're taking to get him are wrong, and he's ultimately gonna just make you look silly. So he's fantastic. Miller, there were times where, and I will peel back the curtain a little bit. I got to sit in a suite, which was cool. I was on the
Oh,
field and I went to a suite.
oh,
Awesome. It's big time. I got some cool friends there. I'll introduce you next time we go. Where people are just saying, "Oh, Miller's gonna Miller." He's gonna do this thing where he's just like up and down play. Like he made some passes that were really impressive, and then some other decisions you're just like, What are you looking at? Like, why is that?" And so I think there was a little frustration with that. Not pushing the ball, but when you run for 300 yards, like who cares? Just run it every play. And then the defense, I thought, again, kind of sporadic, got their hands on the football, wasn't super thrilled with the pass defense or lack thereof at sometimes, but
there were some breakdowns.
there were some breakdowns. But overall, I was impressed with Louisville, and it was fun to be there.
I love them saying Miller gonna Miller, like, he's been there for 8 games. How do
I
you
know.
what
He's
are we
been there
talking about?
for 6 months. Like, what are
What
y'all
are we
talking
talking about? I liked Miller using his legs a little bit. I
about?
thought that was good to see, and overall, yeah, the defense with a few breakdowns that was concerning. I thought, okay, just very, very quickly with BC, I liked Grayson James. I liked what he was doing. It made you wonder why he was benched from the beginning. I know
I
he threw
agree.
2 picks and those were costly, but I kinda liked what he did. I thought he looked pretty good.
I think so too. I think he, just what we saw in this game, the way he was able to extend plays with his legs, pick up yards with his legs, but also threw. I mean, he was confident. He threw it almost 50 times and did, a pretty good job there outside of some turnovers and maybe some other plays that he just missed. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. And it stinks when a team is 1-7. You're just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And a lot of frustration, some different things, occurred going into the half and on the sidelines and things of that nature. But yeah, I think he's fun to watch, and he's making the most of his opportunity.
Rollback just dropped their licensed game day collection. Polos, hoodies, Q-zips, custom designed for your school. On game days, we wear Rollback, period.
Okay, Mac, let's get to the rest of these games here. Wake Forest SMU. What a ridiculous football game. Honestly, no. Okay, Virginia UNC we said was hideous. This was more hideous. This was more ridiculous. Wake Forest beats SMU 13-12. Nobody wanted to score. The fumbles everywhere. 2 fumbles in the fourth quarter alone. I mean, honestly, I'm glad Wake won the game because they deserved to win the game with how they played. They just kept fumbling
Yeah.
all over the place. They had 5 total turnovers. SMU also had 3. Their turnovers ended up being a bit more costly, like in really bad situations. And so you probably didn't realize this. We're watching the game at home, and I have it pulled up on the computer on the CW. Well, we have another game on, and I look down for a second. I think my newborn was doing something crazy. And I look up, and Wake's about to kick a field goal. And I thought, oh my God, like SMU just punted. How'd this happen? So I had to go back and see the crazy catch that happened.
Yeah.
But then I'm looking at my phone. The ESPN app went
Yes.
final. It went final. SMU 12, Wake Forest 10. My mother-in-law is a Wake Forest graduate. She is at work, and she's looking at her phone, and she's like, oh, we lost. And I'm texting her. I'm like, no, Wake Forest won. Like, you need to see what happened. So just a crazy, crazy situation. SMU fans might not like that I'm saying that I'm glad Wake won because I do feel like they played better. Like, they deserved to win the game, and they had a game against Georgia Tech they deserved to win that they did not. So
Yes.
in the end, crazy game, pretty hideous.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, and the turnovers were just nuts. I mean, the ball was on the ground or getting, to the wrong guy over and over, and you're just like, how is this happening? There was a point, I believe it was going into halftime, where there were 3 turnovers in like 4 plays. I mean, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then coming out in the second half, I believe Wake Forest turned it over on their first possession. So it was just like nobody wants the ball. Nobody wants to win. Nobody wants to score. And, I'm going to start on the Wake Forest side because I thought that defense played out of their mind. They were fast. They were physical. They were hitting SMU. They were getting tackles for loss, sacking KJ, getting their hands on the football. I mean, that looked like a different team. I mean, maybe they've played better these last couple of weeks, but that looked like by far the best I've seen them play, as consistent as I've seen them play, and just flying around. I mean, black jerseys in swarms everywhere you looked. And so you've got to give huge credit to them and playing at that level and winning this football
Yeah.
game, for their team there. And, I think offensively, it's a weird game because there was one point where these guys had like 16 yards at like halftime or something crazy. You're just like, how is this happening? This is so bizarre. But they picked it up a little bit. They ran the ball okay. They just made plays when they needed to. I mean, that was what it was, and I thought special teams were obviously special when you kick a,
Mhm.
a game winner like that. And to kind of what I said of making plays when you need to, that throw at the end of the game, I mean, that was sick
Crazy.
that they were able to convert there and get so close for their guy. So big kudos to them. Jake Forrest, as I saw it tweeted by Wake Forest there,
Oh.
era is rolling. These guys are 5-2, 2-2 in the league. Don't control your destiny, but who knows? Crazy things happen. And you look at Wake Forest's schedule the rest of the way here and who they play. I mean, you're looking at at FSU, which is going to be crazy, at Virginia, which is crazy, and then UNC, Delaware, and at Duke. Why not?
Why
Why not
not?
go crazy and finish this season, just sprinting at full speed? And who knows? I don't know. Maybe this is the last time I'll say it. The asterisk of should and should have beat Georgia Tech. I get that, and it's frustrating. But at the end of the day, you're building, and I think there's some real confidence there, and it's going to be exciting to see. On the other side, SMU
Oof.
beat Clemson, who is not a good team, but still it's a huge deal. I get that in Death Valley. And then to have this type of letdown game right after is pretty frustrating. I think there's some real issues, as we all know, in the secondary. Every team that these guys play just looks so good throwing the football. If they're not intercepted, if their ball's not picked off, and then not being able to run the ball like they need to.
Right.
I just think it's two pretty glaring issues that are going to be really highlighted this week against Miami, and something you're going to have to step up. And I'm sure they'll play their best game of the year. It's just how the ACC rolls. But we're going there. The huddle's headed to Dallas. I can't wait. I hope everybody's excited. Let's peel off the Band-Aid and look at this opportunity you have in front of you to face the Hurricanes.
I know SMU fans will be ready. I think that stadium will be ready. Mac, two things with SMU. First of all, I think it was a bigger factor than we made it out to be, even though I did mention it. But you had Wake coming off a bye week, and you had SMU coming off a physical game at Clemson, and emotional, flying back to Dallas, and then flying back to Winston. I thought Wake looked way more rested. And then you've got the health issue. I'm not sure KJ is healthy. You can't it feels like, and I know you said against Clemson, it was almost a positive because it forced him to stay in the pocket, but it feels like he can't really use his legs. And
Right.
so that's really hurting SMU's run game
Right.
overall.
I agree, and it's unfortunate. And again, in this game coming up, I mean, you
Yeah.
better be
Yeah.
ready,
We'll
because
see.
they're going to bring it and they're going to send pressure. Let's finish with this one. Are you ready for the Pitt Panthers to be in the college football playoff?
Absolutely.
Are you? I talk
Wait,
about schedules
we're
and talk
talking
about
playoff?
we're talking
Playoff?
playoff at Stanford, which you better not. You better do your thing. Versus number 12 Notre Dame at home.
Yeah, they have Notre
At
Dame.
number 8 Georgia Tech versus number 10 Miami. You went out, you're in the playoff, and you're in the ACC championship.
Wow.
Like, this is crazy what
Wow.
Pittsburgh is doing right now, what they have looked like, the complete 180 since they put Heinzel in the game as their quarterback, who balled the heck out, played out of his mind. And the only thing he wants to say after the game is, well, we left a lot out there. We left, scored 53 points. Shut up.
Narduzzi loves
You
it.
look great. You looked fantastic. You threw for 5 million yards. He's fun to watch. He could zing that ball. And listen, they were a wounded animal. They still are. I want to pull this up so I can be as accurate as I can here. I saw this tweet when I was on the way home. Pitt has ongoing injuries to their best player, running back Desmond Reed, their best wide receiver, their best offensive tackle and offensive guard, and 2 All-American caliber linebackers and depth players that's in the secondary. And still,
And
they are
still.
finding a way. And it does, the biggest question, just like Wake does, it's a little bit different because it's a personnel change, but you just think, like, if Mason was this good, why didn't he play earlier? And I get that. It's hard. And it's
Exactly.
quarterback, and you got to figure it out. It is what it is. But, man, the what ifs are going to really play in, especially if these guys, maybe stumble to Notre Dame but win all the others. Like, you're going to look at this in a really weird light here. So I'm fascinated by it, but give all the credit to the Dews making this change, to Coach Bell making this change. And ultimately to Mason going in and dealing. I mean, he's a true freshman. This guy's a baby, and he's playing at a super high level. I'm excited for what Pitt can do. I mean, they could throw a big old wrench into this party and make some crazy things happen here. So we'll see. It's going to be fascinating with Pittsburgh.
Completely agree. And if you just don't lose the West Virginia game, which I know Pitt fans don't want to talk about it, but that's the what if, right? If you
Yeah.
just have one loss right now with Louisville. I did look this up. There are 5 teams in the country this weekend that scored over 50. That's it.
Wow.
Pitt, one of them. You had Tennessee score 56, Indiana 56, North Texas 54, Utah 53, and then Pitt. So impressive work from Pitt. The main thing that I have to say about Virginia Tech 42, Cal 34 in double overtime is the Virginia Tech fans. Because I doubted it a little bit. On
A
Friday, I
lot
was
of
like,
it. A lot
Mac,
of
why would they go? Like, come on. Like, move on to basketball season. But they still show up. And I hate the argument. There's nothing else to do in Southwest Virginia. There's plenty of towns where there's nothing to do and people don't show up. All right, so let's be clear. Impressive showing from the Hokies fans, and then for Virginia Tech in general, running it 58 times for 357 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. You love that. And I'll stay right there with the fans too, because I was just so excited, right? Because that's what it's about. And I hope and pray that this committee and this administration can get this right and give you guys a football coach that you deserve, not that deserves you, that you deserve, because you show up, you show out, you impact games, you change games. And gosh, I've said this for 7 years. I just can't wait to see what a consistent top 15 Virginia Tech looks like. I mean, it's a sleeping giant. And I hope these coaches realize that too, that are being asked to interview. Like, there's a lot going into this thing right now, and I think a lot of positive. So end of the day, we'll see what that happens. But they found a way. They ran the football. They found a little wrinkle that worked with kind of an adjusted pin and pull, get Kyron to the outside, and they ran the heck out of it. They ran it like 20 times. It was really
If it
fun.
works,
I know,
just do it.
doing it. Keep doing it. And they did. So big shout out to them for finding that, making that adjustment and winning the game. But it was a crazy week, spooky week. Some things that we thought happened did happen. Some other games, we're very close and maybe we didn't think. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Jump in the comments. Tell us what you think. Were the uniforms that bad? I just want to know. Louisville fans, we appreciate y'all.
Worst of all time.
Yeah, supporting us and jumping on different podcasts, but also at the Huddle and watching us there. It was a ton of fun in Louisville. Got a loaded week. Big time guests. We might have a couple guests. We might have more than a couple guests, and especially on Fridays. Y'all just stay tuned. We'll see what that brings and what that provides. But we appreciate you guys always. Until next time, we'll see y'all.